What if we need to focus on clarity? That if I'm not getting what I need, it's because I wasn't clear. I thought men either didn't care what I needed or were actively withholding it. Men care so much about the people they love, what they need. And you letting him take care of you is a gift to him.
That was Alison Armstrong, a brilliant educator and author of the incredible book that will blow your mind called The Queen's Code. Can you explain the differences between men and women?
It's natural for them to do one thing at a time. Testosterone is shaping this committed state of mind, focused state of mind, a result, a destination, purpose. Our brains, estrogen does the opposite. I call it diffuse awareness. It creates connections between all the parts and every part.
Alison Armstrong has an original mind who's been studying men since 1991, offering simple, partnership-based solutions to improve your communication and intimacy by honoring ourselves and others.
One of the biggest frustrations women have is trying to get men to answer a question. Just answer the question. When a woman asks a question, he's not doing what you think he's doing.
What if men are responding to women?
It's so helpful in relationships because it can get us into conflicts if we don't get that about each other.
When men are what I would call at play, that's when they're connected. We find safety in feeling connected.
You might be in love with men or frustrated by them or both. In this conversation, you'll learn the secrets to propel your marriage into one of lifelong, lasting passion and goodness.
What if we're always giving each other the best interpretation of what we heard you say?
We cover how to interact with men in a way that honors both sexes and unravel the mysteries of men's behavior.
So when we interrupt them to connect, not only it's a threat because we've diminished their productivity, we've also interrupted their peace.
Why criticism never works and what to do instead.
If we ask people to listen in a particular way, honey, I need to tell you something important. When would be a good time to tell you something important?
Today you'll learn the core desires of both men and women and get an intimate look inside our hearts and minds to better understand ourselves and each other.
If we could live by it, it could change everything.
Welcome to the Ellen Fisher Podcast. Welcome, Alison, to the podcast. I am so honored to have you on my show. And I want to tell you a little bit about how I came to really wanting to have you on my show.
Oh, please.
I was hanging out with some girlfriends. We were having a girls' day, like a mom's day out without our children. We were lounging by a pool. And I asked one of my friends, so how are you and your husband doing these days? And she said, well, we're actually doing really good right now because I'm reading this book called The Queen's Code. And I said, The Queen's Code? What's that? Like the title, and just immediately drew me in. And she just started to explain. She's like, well, I'm not that far in yet, but I've only really implemented just one or two of the things that has already made such a transformation in our relationship. And I'm like, please tell me more. I consider like my husband and I to have a pretty strong relationship, but you know, we have our hard times where we don't understand each other or where we're not communicating great. And so I'm instantly like, what, tell me something, give me something. Okay. Just for today, a nugget before I go. And she said, okay. She said, okay, well, try not interrupting him and just listen to him. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, if you just really listen and don't interrupt, don't say anything, wait till they're completely done. And he'll say so much more than you realize that he had to say. And I am like the outgoing, extroverted one. My husband is the more introverted one. And when he has something to say, I always want to hear what he has to say, you know? Yeah. But never have I really considered don't interrupt at all, because like a female conversation, a natural flow can have slight interruptions and it's totally fine. Mm. Little did I know that there's differences between men and women on this. Mm. So I went home that day and I just immediately began implementing it. And I just immediately thought, wow, he is saying so much more than I knew he had to say. And without saying anything, he would just continue on. And mind you, I hadn't read the book yet. Okay.
That's awesome.
So this is all I had. And then one time, like within that day, he kept going and going. And then he eventually said, and that's all I have to say about that. And I remember thinking, well, that's odd that he said that he said it like that. And then I went and I got your book the next day. And I got the audiobook because one of my friends had said, you have to listen to the audiobook. It's so much better, which is on your website, AlisonArmstrong.com. And I'm listening to the audiobook and I cannot put it down. I'm like listening to it while I'm doing dishes. Like I was just completely hooked by this story. And then you get to the part where you say something about, and when men are finished talking, they'll say something like, that's it, or that's all. And I about fell out of my chair. I just thought that was such a just a testament to the insights that you provide in all that you share. So thanks. That's why I knew I had to get you on my podcast.
That is it's one of a few that I hear again and again, that we call it waiting for the well. And count to 30, right? They don't need encouragement the way we do. Like, yes, I'm with you. Oh, wow, really? That's it. Interrupt. And I've gotten emails from people saying just that one thing saved their marriage. Just that one thing changed everything. And men are so deep. And one of the myths is that they're superficial, but we don't realize we're cutting them off at the tip of the iceberg. And there's so much in there. And feelings, which we always want them to talk about, that's deep sea diving. You got to wait and wait and wait, sometimes days. Like, you can think about this and get back to me. It's worth waiting for. They'll tell us all about how they feel.
Totally. And this is not something I realized before reading your book.
Wow.
So for everyone who's new to learning about you and what you share, what do men want in women and what do women want in men?
Oh, just a small question.
Yeah, just a small one.
Oh my gosh. What? I've never had anybody ask me it that way.
Or, well, it could be worded like, what are a man's heart's desire and a woman's heart's desire?
One of my favorite phrases, heart's desire. Okay, let's start with men.
Yeah.
One is to be recognized for what they have worked hard to be. So their character, and especially the character that they've chosen. That one way to say it would be has to do with being honorable and doing the right thing, no matter how you feel, is the definition for them of being honorable. The right thing, no matter how you feel, and it could be a bad feeling or a good feeling. So when I said, the feelings are always at the bottom of the well, well, even when they share them with you, don't expect them to act on them. That's what they're wrestling with when they're choosing to do the right thing. And one of the ways that shows up is they can absolutely be in love with a woman, think she is everything, but know they're not the right person for her, that they can't give her what she needs. They're not going to be able to make her happy for the rest of her life. And so they will opt out because that's the honorable thing to do, is leave her to be with the person who will be right for her. What?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? We think love is all you need. Mm-hmm. If we love each other, we should be together. Not if I can't give you what you need. Mm-hmm. And, people ask about Dan and I, right, after being with my husband for decades. His sisters even were like, so are you engaged? This was 2 weeks in. And I'm like, no, we're not going to do that. I'm not going to do till death do us part. I did that. I believe in it in certain circumstances. We're going to be together as long as we can give each other and get from each other what we need. Mm-hmm. And it's very important because we need to give. Mm-hmm. And what if the person that you need to give to won't let you? Mm-hmm. That happens all the time. They won't receive and value, appreciate, encourage, celebrate the things that we most need to give. And this is what happens with men a lot, that they have all this to give to us. And we're like, no, I can do it myself. No, I don't need that. Well, but you have to do it like this. And so they want to be received from, they want to be seen, they need to be appreciated, they need to feel liked. Like if we have a whole list of what to change about them, then you don't like me just the way I am. Bridget Jones' Diary, he likes me just the way I am.
Yeah.
That we both need it. I mean, it's odd. In this way, men and women are more alike than different, even though it seems like we're different. They want support. They want, one of the things they said was, we don't really know it's real until we've had problems. And women are always concealing problems because if we have a problem, that would mean it's not meant to be. But no, they don't know it's real until there's a problem. And the way one man put it was, I need us to have problems to find out if when we have problems, do we have a problem we're going to solve together? Or am I now the problem?
Yeah.
When we have problems, do I become the problem? Or do we stay on the same team and solve the problem?
Yes.
They're actually brilliant in this area and not given much credit because, because we think they're hairy, misbehaving women.
What do women want in men?
Oh, gosh. Women, well, instinctually, we are always sorting for strength because then we're safe. Is he strong enough to protect me? Including, is he strong enough to protect me from my worst enemy, which is myself? It's the voice in my head. We call it the perfect person in the Queen's Code, the ideal woman in our online workshops, the critic, the constant critic that's saying, this is what's wrong with me, and this is what's wrong with me, and this is what's wrong with me, and then coming up with a strategy to fix the thing that's wrong with me. And they just want us to be ourselves. Like Dan said it early on. He said, I'm perfectly imperfect. And he practices acceptance, which is a tremendous strength I didn't even know someone could have.
Yeah.
And so we're seeking strength, and our instincts are sorting for height, muscles, right? Intellect, integrity. If he has integrity, he's really strong. Resources, status, right? Connections, how he's known and thought of. Those are all instinctual. But we need spiritual strength. We need someone that, when it comes down to it, is like, I know who I am. This is what I'm committed to. This is what my life is about. And I'm not going to get swept up in something else. So what we want and what we really need are often different.
Ooh, can you explain that? Yeah, I would love to hear that.
Yeah. Well, wanting is an instinctual response. It's a lack. It's this impulse and covet and grab and get it, right? It's all instinct. What we really need are the things that, one way to tell is they have a huge cost for not getting and a huge benefit for getting. So like sleep. Sleep is a perfect example of something we actually need.
Yeah.
Right? And if we pay attention to things like, who am I in the morning when I went to bed at 9:30 versus who am I in the morning when I went to bed at 11, even though I got the same amount of sleep, right? We have these circadian rhythms that determine what sleep's going to give us depending on when it happened.
Yeah.
And, but there's time, there are people in your life that when you get to be with them, you're a different person. You have more capacities on the other side of having spent that time with them. And if you don't get to be with them for a while, you're like, there's a part of me that is filled up by that person, and I'm not entirely myself. And it's the hard part of being human, that we have two nervous systems, right? We literally have survival functioning nervous system, and then we have a spiritual nervous system. And they're both existing here. And to be truly ourselves, we have to get in the body the qualities we know ourselves to be. Like, people will pretend compassion. It might be their highest value, compassion. But if they don't have it embodied, they can't actually be it, let alone, for me in the last few years, it's all about how can you overflow as yourself.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Let's talk about something you might not know. Your scalp has a microbiome just like your gut. And if it's out of balance, you could be facing dull, lifeless hair and even hair loss or dandruff. Enter Act an Acre, the first trichologist-founded scalp care brand that's revolutionizing the way we care for our hair from the root up. Act an Acre's line of scalp products treat common concerns like hair thinning, dandruff, flakes, and oily scalp. And here's the best part. They do it all using clean, sustainable ingredients and a cold process method that retains the efficacy of every ingredient. Perfect for anyone who has experienced postpartum, thinning, and shedding. Act an Acre can be a game changer for restoring thickness and shine to your hair. So if you're ready to say goodbye to scalp woes and ready to healthy, vibrant hair, go to actanacre.com and take their quiz and find the perfect hair and scalp system for you. And don't forget to use the code ELLEN20 for 20% off your purchase.
I love what you said about how a man can be happy with being imperfectly perfect. Is that how you said it?
That's how Dan says it.
Yeah,
Yes.
the dance.
He says, I'm perfectly imperfect.
Yes, perfectly imperfect. And that we women need a man to be able to protect us even from ourselves sometimes.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
There's times when I'm, not being my best self, or my mind is taking something to a place that it doesn't need to. The stress, anxiety, or about something,
Right.
about the future, about something in the past. And my husband's strong, calm presence of, you're okay. It's fine. Everything's okay. Is something I really need, that sometimes might bother me in the moment.
Right.
Just let me be frustrated, and it's just completely good and normal that I'm frustrated about this right now,
Right.
But then later I look back and he's right.
Yeah.
And it would suit me better to be okay with something and not make something a bigger deal than it has to be. Yeah. So what are the differences between men and women? Because like you said something about that women think men are just misbehaving, hairy women. And so women can get frustrated with men, because they're not acting in the way we think they're supposed to act.
Right.
So can you explain the differences between men and women in relationships, especially?
Golly. Okay. I could take a month to do this.
Yeah.
Or I could
Take it away,
I'm going to
honestly.
give the tip of the iceberg. Okay.
Yeah.
Because so the major differences between men and women are literally created by the gender hormones that are triggered in the womb at 21 days of gestation, which is when the X and the Y take over. So if you think of baby boys, they are being pickled in testosterone. That's why they're born with those testicles. Like, whoa, right? Well, they have as much testosterone in their little bodies as a man. And girls or females are being pickled in estrogen. Well, the difference is that for boys, they have that much testosterone until about 9 months after birth. Women, our brains pickled in estrogen, we have that much estrogen till about 2 years after, which is what makes little girls able to toddle into a room and just steal your heart because they all this radiance and this connection to the eternal and overflowing with joy, which is something men really need from women. But it's shaping the brain. So the testosterone is shaping this committed state of mind, focused state of mind, a result, a destination, a purpose. There's always something to produce. and they're committed to producing it. And then they produce it, or it's, I don't have any more time. We have to eat now. Stop, go eat. So it's natural for them to focus, to do one thing at a time. I call it hunting. They hunt, and they can track even like differences in vision. The difference between a man's vision and a woman's vision is so different depending on the speed, how fast it's going. The faster it's going, the easier a man can track it. And even anticipate where it's going to go and throw the spear, throw the baseball, throw the where that person's going. And I finally realized this is why my husband didn't see dust. Because it's not moving. He's like, it was his one job for family parties. Clean off the wet bar where he'd had piles and piles of stuff building up since the last year's party. And so that was his only job, was to clean off the wet bar. And then he's like, okay, it's clean. And I go over. It's covered in, what about the dust? He's, what dust? And he meant it, right? So our brains, estrogen does the opposite. Instead of a focused state of mind, I call it diffuse awareness. It creates connections between all the parts and every part. And this is why men change as they get older, like your dad. So as men get older, their testosterone levels fall, and it actually frees the brain to rewire. And now, instead of only some parts of the brain connected to the verbal, they're all getting connected to the verbal. And this is, now they can talk about feelings, and they can, the expression that comes out of them, like all their wisdom is now connected to their mouth. And so, it can come out, but it's something that happens in the brain, right? And so, but ours, like, focus. We're not built to focus. Like, if you think of us as complementary, we walk into the meadow, he's hunting a critter, and we're scanning for danger. We're scanning for danger everywhere. And that's one of the biggest differences. We're always monitoring our safety. And it has us see things that they wouldn't see, which is, I've asked men, what do you enjoy about working with women? Oh, they see things I would never see. They have a completely different perspective. And so, but when men have learned about women, and some men learned about women, they signed up to take estrogen. They all quit the study within 3 days because they felt crazy. The amount of input from the environment, they're like, what?
I know. Even like, this is true for when I talk to my husband or my dad, or really pretty much any man. If I'm, because like you say in your book too, you talk about how men are single focused, which is what you're essentially describing, and women are, like you said, diffuse awareness.
Just think about this with your family. You walk into your family space, you, whether you're aware of it or not, your system is registering the mental and emotional and physical, energetic state of all your people. And if you have critters, right, dogs or cats, it's going to do that too. And it's going to register all of that about each one of them. This is why they think we have eyes in the back of our head, because we feel them. We know how they're doing. And we're organized around well-being. Right? Men are organized around protecting. We're organized around well-being. And so this is one of the ways we have conflicts. They'll react to what they perceive as a threat in a way that like hurts a child's feelings. Honey, could you say that more gently? Right? Because we're aware of the squish, right? The squish that happened. And they're just aware of that had to stop now. Something bad is going to happen. Right? And so if we know we're built differently, if we know our brains work differently, and they were actually like, instead of clashing like this, there's like, oh my gosh, if we depend upon each other, if we partner with that, like, okay, honey, you do your scan thing. Where are my keys? Oh, I already know, they're on the piano.
Yeah.
Because we notice everything that's out of place. Because if you think about in a meadow, if something's out of place, who moved it?
Yeah.
Is there an enemy here? Right? Is there a critter? Is there a human?
Yeah.
Who moved it? So we literally notice everything.
Yeah.
The things that are crooked, the things that are out of place, that doesn't belong there.
Yeah.
And we don't have to work at it. In fact, it's very hard to shut off.
Yeah.
Which is something men need to learn about women. We actually need, we call it zone out time. They need transition time from one focus to the other. We need zone out time where we can just like put a book in front of our face.
Stop thinking about everything. Just one. Totally. That's so real. And my husband will look at me like, what are you doing right now? This is relaxing time. You know, like you talk about how men have a specific, like one thing at a time. They have a getting dressed time and a making food time, an eating time, a
Sex
relaxing
time.
time, a sex time. Whereas women it's all happening kind of all at once. And one thing you said I was listening to a podcast episode you did on someone else's a while ago where you said you're in your ultimate feminine when you're not rushed. And that resonated so much with me because my husband is very an on-time task person.
Right.
It is time to go. We need to leave now. Everybody in the car. And I have so many things that I'm not ready. I'm not ready. And I instantly go into this, I'm stressed. I have to go. He said it's his time to go. And I'm just completely out of my feminine when that happens. But the times when I'm completely not rushed, I do this. You said something where, I might start this. And then, I forgot to put the clothes in the dryer. Let me go do that. I'll get back to that in a minute. I forgot to let me go do this. I need to go water the plants. And as I'm watering the plants, I'm realizing, I need to go plant this one thing before I go finish the dishes and all the different thing. And that makes me feel my best. I love doing that.
If you have plenty of time.
If I have time.
If you have plenty of time, I call it puttering.
Yes.
You just
Yes.
I'm the happiest on a Saturday morning, and I usually have like 10 things going. I'm baking bread,
Yeah.
I'm doing laundry, half of the plants are watered.
Yeah, yeah.
I vacuumed one room and
Yeah.
it's sitting there waiting for the next.
Yeah.
And la la la
Yeah.
la 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 la.
And this, I think, understanding this about ourselves and each other is so helpful in relationships because it can get us into conflicts if we don't get that about each other. So like a prime example of everything you're just talking about, I just go back to my own experience when my husband's relaxing time. All the kids are finally asleep. We have 5 children. We have very little relaxing time. It's very small window, because we want to go to bed by 10 because we feel our best if we go to bed by 10.
Yep.
So we have like that 1.5 hours to chill and not think about anything. But I'm still decompressing from my day where I have other things that I didn't get a chance to tell him yet.
Yes.
And there's things that I want to talk about because we didn't have a chance to talk about it. And he's sitting on the couch and he's ready to just do nothing. It's nothing time. And I come up, okay, so what do you think about this though? There was this thing earlier though, when that argument happened with so-and-so, I feel like we could have handled it better. And don't you think? And he's like, what are you doing right now? It's not time for this.
I'm trying to connect with you.
Yeah.
You're trying to connect,
Yeah.
which is one of the other biggest differences.
Yes.
We women tend to feel safe because we can also be in hunting mode. So one way to think about it rather than men and women is in hunting mode or a committed state of mind. And we'd more use the word secure. Men will use the word secure. They feel secure when they're being productive. They're feeling secure when they have what they need in order to be productive. They feel secure when they've been being productive, when they see they're going to keep being productive. It's all about productivity that gives them their sense of safety. Women are in an open state of mind, and when men they have no results to produce, when they're what I would call at play or relaxing, they have no results to produce. That's when they're connective. That's when they want to connect.
Yes.
And we find safety in feeling connected. So this is why we interrupt even in a conversation. Oh yeah, because we want to connect with them, not knowing so many men working at home now, a woman will go in and interrupt his productivity in order to connect with him, and then gets so upset by his reaction because she doesn't understand where it comes from. And one of the things that it took me a long time to learn, and, you know, I've been studying men since 1991, was that I asked Greg, I'm like, okay, so from natural horsemanship, I know horses are seeking peace. And it seems like that's what men are doing too. They're seeking peace. So do you experience peace when what you've set out to accomplish is done? And sometimes Greg would look at me like I was slow, you know? And he's like, honey, being focused is peace.
Yeah.
What? What? So when we interrupt them to connect, not only are it's a threat because we've diminished their productivity, we've also interrupted their peace.
And understanding this is such a helpful way to know how to navigate your relationship, because we could come in and go, oh, honey, I have something I need to tell you this thing. And so, and I just go ahead and do it. And he might give you this look like, what are you doing right now? This is a look of annoyance. And then I might take that as why are you being so rude to me? You don't like me. You find me annoying. I just want to tell you something. What's wrong?
Right.
You know?
But to him, it's and we do this. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, go.
But we interact with men as if what they're doing isn't important, and that what we have to say is more important than anything they're doing, especially if you're just watching stupid golf on television.
Oh my gosh.
So we just interrupt because you're doing nothing. And honestly, besides what you shared, waiting for the well, right? Which for people new to it, he says, only ask questions that are worth waiting for the answer. Don't ask a question you're not willing to wait as long as it takes for the answer, because it means you're not committed to the question, which is really hurtful to them, that you would waste their time with something you didn't really want to know. Oh, yeah, we do it all the time. And so, and we don't even know we're doing it. So only ask questions you're going to wait for the answer, and then ask it and start counting to 30.
That's such a long time, though.
It seems like such a long time. Most men will come in around 18. 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. But some, like, you may have heard me talk about it. It was so awesome. You know, I went to visit my son in Alaska, and I said, you know, I'm interested in everything you're interested in. So anything you want to tell me, anytime I'm here, I look forward to it. And he was working. So when we were busing out of Denali National Park, and he was done working, because that's where he worked, 3-hour bus ride. No, 4.5-hour bus ride. The first thing he did was he went to sleep. He just fell asleep on my shoulder. And then when he woke up, he talked for 3 hours.
Wow.
But I'd given him 4 days to get back to me on it, right? He knew I was interested, and when he was ready, he was ready. And there's so much they'll tell you if you let them do it on their own time instead of on demand. And one of the things I've taught men about women is we have favorite questions. So quit asking, how are you? Because we're going to be compelled to report on our mental, physical, emotional state and how each of the people we're attached to are doing. And we'll do that for accuracy and for honesty. We'll tell you the whole thing. We won't say fine, right? And they're like, what? I'm like, find a better question. Find out what her favorite questions are. Like one of my favorite questions, and Dan asks me all the time, is there anything you want me to know about you? And then I sort of all the things happening in my world, what do I want him to know about me? And it's awesome.
Yeah.
Right? So, you know, different women have different questions, like, what are you learning now? Or anything you're proud of yourself for?
Yeah.
But find out from her.
Yeah.
So we did this in our Understanding Women course. And then I asked men, there must have been around 100 men in this one course. I said, so men, what are your favorite questions? And there was no hands went up. They're like, favorite questions? Still no hands went up. And then after a while, the men started going like this. And like, okay, somebody tell me. And this one says, no question. What? No questions? Like, I don't want to be interrogated. Okay, how many questions does it take to be interrogated? All the men. Which, by the way, if men have their arms closed, I thought it meant they were shut down. Mm-hmm. No, their shoulders and arms are so heavy. They're heavy. This is where their strength is. Ours is in our pelvis. Mm-hmm. They cross their arms. They're like, it's comfortable.
Yeah.
That's how they situate all the strength and weight up there. It's just comfortable. They're not actually closed down.
We're reading it as you're closed down for me. I'm just trying to talk to you.
No, I'm just getting comfortable. I'm just getting comfortable, honey. I'm just comfortable.
Yeah. I'll say it again. I am absolutely obsessed with Indigo Luna. Their clothing is what I reach for almost every single day. I'm wearing them right now if you're watching on YouTube. Indigo Luna isn't just another clothing brand. They're on a mission to reduce unnecessary impact on our planet and its inhabitants, all while providing a meaningful alternative to mass production and fast fashion. Their garments are designed to honor the diverse and ever-evolving female form, embracing all women and providing a sense of safety and empowerment. Made from recycled and organic materials, each piece boasts earthy colors and simple, beautiful shapes. But what truly sets Indigo Luna apart is their commitment to sustainability at every step of the production process. From small, purposeful production runs to ensuring fair and safe working conditions for every individual involved, they prioritize people and the planet above all else. Enter the code ELLENLOVE for 10% off Indigo Luna.
The misreading, because we think they're a kind of woman. Mm-hmm. And they're a woman who's not acting right because they're not acting like a woman. Like they didn't notice the lint on my sweater, the spinach in my teeth. Their brains literally, they screen for results and they screen for beauty.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Because they're nurtured by beauty. They don't see the spinach because the spinach is irrelevant. Mm-hmm. The spinach is irrelevant. They're like, honey, it's your eyes, your smile, your cheeks. Who cares about spinach? Like, it's just like, yeah, I saw it, but it wasn't important. Mm-hmm. And while they screen for beauty, we literally screen for what's wrong, what's imperfect, what's our brains are the opposite that way. Yeah. And that's one of the things why we need them to save us from that.
Wow.
Because it's an overdrive and it is survival to the max. I will survive if I'm perfect. So what do I need to correct? What's wrong with me? And when a man doesn't act the way we expect him to act, we think it's because he doesn't feel the right way about us. And so we try to change ourselves so he'll feel the right way, so he'll act the right way. This constant strategy. But that's not how they're wired. Mm-hmm. Like we were talking about honorable, they think it's honorable to not act on their feelings. So they're not going to act the way we want because of how they feel. They're going to act the way we want because it's worth it. Called the worth it calculation.
Wow.
The upside. What's the ROI?
Yes.
And they need us to tell them when something's important enough for us to ask them to do, instead of just expect them to do, because any girl would, that we're asking them to do it because of how much it will provide for us.
Wow.
And that's the reason for doing it, is what it will provide.
When we were talking about how long to wait for them to respond, and I remember when I first heard 30 seconds, I thought, that's insanely long. Like, no way. Mm-hmm. But then, as I would listen to him and there's like these long pauses in my head, I'm like, there's a really long pause. This is a really long pause. Should I say something? No, don't say anything. And then he'll just keep going. And I'm thinking he's going to eventually be like, why are you doing it differently now? But no, he's just like, I like this. In his head, he's like, this is good.
Well, that's another huge difference between most men and most women, is women show appreciation through reciprocity. So I listen to you for half an hour. Now it's my turn. You listen to me for half an hour. And it's a precise reciprocity. Oh, we're so precise.
We are.
I made you dinner, now you make me dinner, right? I made you dinner, now you take me out to dinner. No, no, that's not it. And so, but men show appreciation by take and use. So, he appreciated how you were listening because he used it to express himself.
Wow, yes.
Yes, which is just something to point out for the women who start practicing this. Watch that after you've listened to him and listened to him and listened to him, that you think now he's going to listen and listen and listen to you. Because we expect the reciprocity. No, don't expect it. You actually have to let them know, I need a turn.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. So for those who are like listening to this and this is really resonating, but they're like, okay, but how do I implement this? If I understand that men and women are different, how do I implement this in our relationship so that we thrive and we are enjoying each other and the passion is brought back?
Yes.
Can you please share some of those specific tools? So we have the listening.
We have the listening. We have
But wait, actually, sorry to interrupt, but
Yeah.
I guess also like what's the purpose of this question is because people might be struggling. They might be feeling, oh, we're just not getting each other. We're just annoyed at each other all the time. And we're just, I'm just frustrated with him and I'm not enjoying our presence with each other. I feel like he doesn't like me. So the purpose then is, right, like to kind of, what is the purpose then? You answer that for me because I'm going to fumble it.
Well, it's okay. I just have to say, I have 100 hours of recorded video just in our online curriculum. Like there's a step by step. Start with Lex, then understanding women, then understanding men. Then you can go on to understanding sex and intimacy, and understanding love and commitment, and being extraordinary as a man, and being extraordinary as a woman, and then extraordinary choices, and then you can get into the partnership work, right? So it's there's prerequisites, and our system checks that people have done the prerequisites. But then there's another 100 hours in what you would call one-offs.
Yeah.
Right? And most of them you can listen to on our app. But some of them are recorded webinars, like Connecting Through Conflict. That's 10 hours worth of the 4 different kinds of most common conflicts and why they blow everything up and what to do about it. Or Dating with Distinctions. Most people are dating in the dark and they wonder why it doesn't turn out. So giving distinctions, turn the light on, illumination. That's another 10 hours, right? But then there's, empowered parenting. Why is parenting such a struggle? Human instincts, it distinguishes that. So there's another 100 hours, the cure for complaining, the appreciation equation, all these things, your hidden dominant drivers. And so all the conflicts you're talking about, first of all, they start with that both of us have a restriction on speaking. And the restriction is saving energy. And a man would say there's no point in stating the obvious. And a woman would say, why do I have to tell him? So both of us think we shouldn't have to say what's obvious. But because of single focus, diffuse awareness, because of protection and well-being, and then because of these pre-gender drives, right? We have one called your hidden dominant drivers, because what you're doing is obvious, but why you're doing it is not. That's why it's hidden and it's important to understand. But our drivers determine the obviousness. So what's obvious to us, because we're driven by building, is that of course we're going to spend money on this and save money for that. But if what's obvious to us is, well, what I'm here to do is to express. I'm a messenger. So of course I'm going to risk everything to end up with a publishing company to express hundreds of hours of what people need to know to stay out of trouble, right? But, so there's 6 dominant drivers we've discovered. Like, of course I'm going to spend all my money on learning. That's what I'm supposed to do, right? I'm going to grow and grow and grow. Anyhow, so if we just consider, and this is a sentence, like if we could live by it, it could change everything. What if everyone, including your husband, is giving you his best interpretation of what he heard? What if we're always giving each other the best interpretation of what we heard you say? But what if the filters of how we're listening has us only hear a percentage of what you're saying?
Yeah.
This is why we encourage people to listen to the Queen's Code audiobook instead of the written book, because as I found out, as people are reading the book to themselves, they're filtering through what they think a man would sound like saying those words.
Yes, the tone is everything.
Everything, the tone, the emotion, the sincerity. And so if you listen to me read the book, which, I didn't write it, right?
That you didn't write it?
I didn't write the book.
Really?
I did almost 20 years of research to get ready to write the book.
Wow.
But when I sat down to write the book, a screen opened up, a movie started playing, just like the prequel, Keys to the Kingdom. I watched a movie and I typed as fast as I could. It took 8 days to write Keys to the Kingdom, to type Keys to the Kingdom, 46,000 words. It took 3 weeks to type up the Queen's Code.
Wow.
96,000 words. It would take most people like a year and a half to write something like that.
It just fell out of you.
A movie played and I typed as fast as I could, like, okay, how do you describe this?
Yeah.
Right? Like, type. And I'd type until I was exhausted. And then I'd go feed my kids. And I'd come back the next morning and it'd be a mess. And so I'd clean up all the mess. And then right as I finished the mess, the screen would open. And I didn't invent these characters. I didn't invent how they are. I didn't invent the plot. I didn't invent any of it. And I don't speak the way Claudia speaks. Claudia doesn't use any contractions.
I noticed that.
Ever.
I know, I
Right?
noticed that. Yeah.
That's not me, right? She doesn't say shit howdy. I learned that from Mike.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So anyhow, there's so much to know and there's so much to get a hold of our instincts, which is why men and women are doomed. It's not personal. There's nothing wrong with any of us, really. Less than 5% of the population would qualify in my book as unhealthy. And there's specific ways to tell an unhealthy person. And we have a thing on that on our website. Unhealthy men, secrets of early detection. And so, but what if we're only saying what's obvious to us, and we're expecting the person to do what's obvious to us, and then we're mad at them for not doing it? Like, men don't understand why we're interrupting them. They don't understand it because it's obvious you have something important to say. Listen. Now, does that mean men won't interrupt? Yeah, they'll interrupt if you're not getting to the point and you're not telling them what the problem is.
Yeah.
Because that's their normal filter. What's the point? And if the person's upset, what's the problem? Our normal filter is, what does this have to do with me? Why are you telling me about this? And if a man talks and talks and talks about his love for something and he doesn't mention us or tell us I hate golf. Why are you still talking about golf?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
you're supposed to customize what you say to what I would want to hear.
Yeah.
Right? Because this is supposed to be about me. They call it the center of the universe. So I wish I could give a short answer.
Yeah.
Right? But if we ask people to listen in a particular way, honey, I need to tell you something important. When would be a good time to tell you something important? 5:30.
Yeah.
I want to tell you something important now. It's that important. He can't hear now. He's going to tell you when he can hear, right? What if we need to focus on clarity? That if I'm not getting what I need, it's because I wasn't clear. I thought men either didn't care what I needed or were actively withholding it. Men care so much about what the people the people they love what they need. You're a dad, right? You're a dad. Our chauffeur
Yeah.
cares so much about what you need.
Yes.
And he organizes
does.
himself to take care of you.
Yes.
And you letting him take care of you is a gift to him.
Yes.
He's doing what he needs to do. And you appreciated him taking care of you. Life is good.
Life is good.
Life is good. Yeah. So what if what's missing is clarity? Instead of, it's not that they feel the right way about you. It's clarity. And we have something called Thrive Your Life, which it's very short, but it teaches you how to use your imagination to develop clarity and then to test, do I have enough clarity to open my mouth?
Yes.
Wait, nope, I'm not clear yet. I each get a bumper sticker. I break for clarity. What if no one's misbehaving? Ever? What if there's a good reason for what they're doing? If we got curious, which curiosity is one of my love languages. And I didn't know why until I looked it up. I love etymology. The origin of curious is the Greek word that means to care. So one man coined this term about what he learned from me, from furious to curious. If we can go from furious to like, wait a second, he is my husband. I know he only wants the good for all of us. He must have a good reason. Take a breath, stand down. I'm sure you have a good reason for that. Would you please tell me what it is?
Yeah.
And then I put the imaginary duct tape over your mouth and wait and wait and wait. I truly thought men were lesser humans. I questioned if they had souls. I didn't know how angry I was at them until I started learning about them. And what if there's a good reason for that? I started with like, what if there's a plausible explanation, right? And then it evolved in, no, they have such good reasons. They have good intentions. There's so much goodness. And we just don't know because we haven't been curious enough. And then when men start working on understanding women, which is what I created that workshop for, but all the women were shocked to learn about themselves.
Yeah.
They find out why we do what we do.
Yeah.
And then, and so that's why it's like, it's going to be okay.
It's going to be okay.
It's going to be okay. And why we flood them with details, the meta report. It's all instinct.
Totally.
It's what we would do. We would come back to the tribe and tell all the women where all the berries are and where the bears might have been and there could be danger there. And, oh, there's a sale going on over there. And
Totally. So you talk in your book about being a frog farmer.
that's how it all started.
That's how it started. So how do women turn princes into frogs? And how can women turn frogs into princes?
Well, I wouldn't worry about turning frogs into princes because they already are magnificent. And if they're truly a bad person, nothing you do will ever make a difference. And if you want to know how to tell the bad men, ask the men who are protecting you to tell you. The way one man put it was, you can't tell the difference between wolves and sheepdogs if all you're looking for is teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sheepdogs have teeth and they're the best to tell who's a wolf. They can smell them.
Yes.
And so, but we usually try to, when they say that's a bad man, oh no, give him a chance. No, that's a bad man. He's up to no good with you. Oh, come on. But no, he's really this and this is, no, that's a bad man. And so they stopped telling us who the bad men are because we just argue with them, just like they stopped telling us we're beautiful because we just argue with them.
Oh.
So it's not worth spending the time telling us.
Yeah. Imagine being able to quiet the chaos of your mind with just a few simple breaths. In a world filled with constant noise and distractions, finding moments of peace and clarity can feel like a luxury. But with Open App, you can unlock the transformative power of breathwork right at your fingertips. With Open App's breathwork feature, you can access a variety of guided exercises designed to help you reconnect with your breath and find calm amidst the storm. Whether you're dealing with stress, anxiety, or simply seeking a moment of stillness, Open App's breathwork sessions offer a sanctuary for your soul. Take a deep breath in and let go of the tension with each exhale. Embrace the power of your breath and cultivate a greater sense of presence in your life, and download the Open App today and begin your breathwork journey. If you want to get on my daily routine, you can get 30 days free of Open by visiting withopen.com/Ellen. Again, that's 30 days free by visiting withopen.com/Ellen.
Can you tell? I have 33 years worth in here,
You're like, where do I even begin with these huge questions?
I know. So frog farming is how my journey started. What happens to Kimberly in the first chapter of the Queen's Code happened to me. Her name is Lisa. She was sitting next to me. She was like Melissa. I mean, the way she asked the question, Lisa asked the question, was even worse than what Melissa did.
So for people who haven't listened to the book, you're at a conference. Is that right?
I was at a landmark seminar.
Okay, a landmark
education.
seminar.
Yeah.
And then you raise your hand.
No. My Lisa, my colleague, raised her hand.
Okay, yeah.
And said to the trainer, they called him at the time, his name's Herb Tanzer. And I don't know if he said frog farmer because he used to be a veterinarian, but she's just hand on her hip and pink lipstick and red hair and Dallas accent that I can't do. And, why is it that men are really wonderful in the beginning? And they take you to wonderful places and they give you wonderful gifts and they listen to you talk about your pets and your families if they care. And then after a few weeks or a few months, they turn into beer belching, pizza eating, TV watching slugs. Oh, wait, then there's also belching in there too. And why is that? And I was watching him like a hawk, right? And I expected him to be mad or be deflated. And instead he liked it. Like he was like, and he strolled down the aisle, and then he antagonized her. He went, oh, which is perfect because she totally did all that.
Yeah,
like one time she said, I'm out of money. I said, do you want to borrow money? She goes, no, I'll just date a lot.
Yeah.
She would date for every meal.
Oh my God.
Yes. Oh yes. No wonder she was frog farming immediately, using men. And so he looked her up and down, and then he said, oh, I see. You're a frog farmer. And a what? Right? And a frog farmer. Some women turn frogs into princes. You, my dear, turn princes into frogs. And I mean, she was Teflon. So the arrow bounced off of her right through my heart. And I was so happy because I had such a horrible opinion of men, but yet I wanted to be with them.
Yeah, you felt helpless.
I still wanted one. I was divorced. My son was 2.5 at the time, and I wanted to be married. I wanted to have more kids. And when what he said meant I was doing something, I'd been part of transformation since I was 19 years old. I could change me. My attempts to change men, none of them worked. So it was like, I'm doing something?
Yeah. The power is like, there's some power.
I was empowered. I'm doing something?
Yes.
But I had no idea what I was doing because I was so normal. And then I found out just a few years ago, I have been guided so well for so long. And guidance from higher consciousness often pops in as a question or just a phrase. And this question popped into my head. What if men are responding to women? I was like, okay, I'll start there. What if men are responding to women? And the words are always so precise. And thank goodness, what if men are responding to women? Because I wasn't out to prove men are responding to women, right? I wasn't just looking for how men are responding to women. It was what if. So from there, I got to see all these ways the men are not responding to women. A man's got to do what a man's got to do. No matter who you are, how you are, I got to do what I got to do. And if I don't do what I got to do, I've betrayed myself and I'm deeply ashamed. And that is so unattractive, a man who's deeply ashamed. We feel the weakness of it. So I found out all these ways men are not responding to women. So the amazing development of men, which I told you about it. There's the first one, and then there's a second edition. They go together. And people can get it on Audible for cheap, right? So then...
But the Queen's Code is only on AlisonArmstrong.com.
Actually, everything I've produced since 2006 is only on AlisonArmstrong.com. Audible has everything I did up until then.
Okay.
And then everything else we've published. Okay. So their stages of development, they have nothing to do with this. They got to do what they got to do, right? But then there's these other ways they are responding to us. So being ready to commit to a woman, that's all them. Has nothing to do with us. Committing to us when they're ready to commit, that's personal. So women tend to get it backwards. What isn't personal, we take personally. What is personal, he's a commitment phobe.
Wow.
He said he was looking to get married, and then he's out of here. He ghosted me. No, that's the personal part.
Yes. Interesting. So then how do women emasculate men?
The important thing that isn't in the book, because I became aware of it after, is that everything we do to disempower men, we do to disempower women, and we do to disempower ourselves. So, for example, withholding appreciation. That's emasculating because it gives energy, right? And if a man has spent energy and we don't appreciate it, now he's disempowered. He's diminished. He's left worse off. And we withhold appreciation from men. We think, why should I appreciate him for doing something he's supposed to do? Because everything you appreciate will keep being done. Greg became the trash hero. I had 5 trashes just in my kitchen. He emptied every one of them every week or sooner if he thought it smelled bad. I taught him well, and he learned well, and he wanted to bullseye it, right? So, but we withhold appreciation from ourselves. We don't sit down and go, okay, what did I do good today? What am I proud of myself for? What increased my respect and admiration and my affinity for myself today? Let's just take a moment. No, we don't do that. Constant criticism. So we withhold quality information, right? Because it's obvious and I shouldn't have to say, and why should I have to ask for that? Criticism. I have a YouTube on why criticism doesn't work.
Yeah, but why doesn't it work? Why doesn't it work? What makes it so, like, and what should we do instead?
No, but we know it works on other women. That's how we get women to change. We criticize them. Women have no protection against criticism. None. It goes from the criticism, that color lipstick? Boom.
Yeah.
You may
You're
never wear that
lipstick.
color lipstick again, or for sure not around me.
That's true.
Yeah. All
true.
we have to just go, We're so sensitive to being pleasing because we're going to survive, we think, by being perfect.
But even
men
if,
have
but
5 layers of protection against criticism.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to take the time for me to teach them, or people could just go to YouTube?
Well, what do you think would be the most helpful information for someone who's listening right now? I guess they can go to the YouTube video. I can put a link to that one.
Well, men rave about it on YouTube.
Okay.
They rave. They're like this. They wish every woman in the world heard it.
Okay, give me some nuggets.
I'll give you some nuggets.
Yeah.
So that look I gave you. So the first layer of protection from criticism is single focus. Men do not hear or perceive most of the criticism that's directed at them because they're focused. They didn't see the snarky look.
Yeah.
But we think they ignored the snarky look because they don't care about us.
Totally. I've done times where I'm like, haven't you noticed how frustrated I am by us? Like we had this thing. And he's like, what? The thing is over. And I'm like, but it's not over. Can't you tell how frustrated I am? Well, no. And I'm thinking he's lying. I'm like, surely you could tell.
Right.
That stiffness, no, babe,
No.
I thought we were done.
No. At Burning Man, they started doing classes at Burning Man to teach men that if a woman stiffens, that is a no. They had to be taught that. Men say, you have to hit me over the head with a brick. They're just being honest, right? Yeah. We need to be direct, and we're naturally indirect. So first of all, he most of the snarky stuff he's never even received. Thank goodness for him. Another one of the 5 is that whatever you criticize him for, what you say he's lacking in, he's gonna, I'm gonna just skip a couple here. He's gonna test it against, does he think he's lacking in that? And if it doesn't resonate for him that that's true, then it's either like, if you're someone he doesn't respect, you saying that is like a fart. It's going to disappear in a few minutes. That's gross. But if you are someone he cares about and you think that of him and he knows it isn't true, it can be crushing that you think that of him. And if he doesn't agree with it, it's not actionable. It's not actionable. And if he does agree, like, oh, wow, you're right. You're right. I need to work on that. Well, we think he's going to work on it starting now. No, it's going to go on the list of things to work on. And then he's going to weigh the benefits of working on that, the cost of not working on that. If the benefits outweigh what it would take, then it is on the list. It'll stay. But that doesn't mean he's going to work on it now. There might be 10 other things that he's prioritized he's going to work on before he works on that thing. I mean, we are criticism act. They are criticism. Do I respect the person who criticized me? No. Whatever. Yes. Okay. Do I agree with what they said? No. Yes. Okay. Is that worth changing? What would it take to change that about myself? Okay, yes, that's worth changing. Or, no, that's not worth changing. Nobody's perfect, honey. It's not worth changing. Like, men they're not compelled to correct what's wrong with them. Like, yeah, nobody's perfect. Yeah, I can be better at that. Oh, yeah, I suck at that. They have acceptance.
Yeah.
It's something to learn from them. It's amazing.
It's huge.
Yeah.
And something I think women need. We need that from them.
We need it from them. We need to learn how to give it to them.
We don't want 2 of me. No way. That would not be good.
Initially we think it's really cool, and then the person drives us crazy.
Yeah. So what about when a man in the relationship tends to take on maybe the more feminine role, and the woman, I have a few like relationships in my life where it is like that for them, where the roles are a little bit reversed. How do you dissect that?
Well, you got to watch the difference between roles and modes. Okay. So my son-in-law, shortly after his son was born, quit his job and is moving the whole family. That's how he's protecting, providing. He saved money, plenty of money. He and his son are incredible to watch together. So as he's had a role while they're getting ready to move, because my daughter has had to finish up her job. So he's had the role of home caretaker, but he doesn't do it like a woman at all. He does it single focused, one thing at a time. Protect trumps provide. He leapt over the couch, slid around the thing because he saw his son suddenly pushing himself off the, where he couldn't do that the day before. So there's roles we have, but then there's the mode in which we do it. And if a man is in a role and in a mode, like you want to find out, do you like this? Like, is this working for you? Because they'll try to adapt to do what makes a difference, but they may be like, oh, I miss work. I miss concrete results that last. But analogy to use, if you started out with a man that to you was strong.
Or maybe they didn't even ever really start out that way. But go ahead and finish.
Well, it's a whole spectrum.
Yeah, it is. There's a spectrum.
There's a spectrum, and you could think absolute single focus on one end, absolute diffuse awareness on the other end, and even, as you pointed out earlier, even though you didn't know it, a woman can be in an open state of mind. You give her a deadline, boom. It's like, men think we have different personalities.
Yeah.
Like, what is, you gave her a deadline. She flipped, and before she's like, la, 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 now she's like, get out of my way.
Yeah.
Right? We did that.
Yeah.
And we can flip ourselves back. Just make anything you're doing that's exhausting you, like working, because it'll exhaust us. They have 15 to 30 times more testosterone than we do. That is the fuel of focus and results. Just give yourself more time. Like, take that goal for a year and make it a 3 or 5 year goal. And you feel like you have plenty of time. Now you're going to putter it. You're going to be more creative, expressive, sense of well-being. But we latch on to that thing. And we exhaust ourselves. We have heart attacks in our 30s now, adrenal burnout. I mean, we're literally making our bodies sick because we're not made for those ways of being.
Yeah.
So it's often, if a woman tends to be very goal oriented, she'll be attracted to a man who's more playful, and he'll be attracted to her. And it can work perfectly.
Yeah.
As long as you don't think the other person's now supposed to step up. I need him to step up. No, he's not that guy.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah, so is that what it is? He's just not that guy. So like a specific example might be, I wish that my partner would be the one that's aware of like protecting if we're at the beach or something. And I'm the one that has to make sure everyone's doing the right thing. If one of our kids is getting into something, I'm the one that has to say, hey, cut that out. Stop it. I want him to do that. That's like a little example. A little example. You get what I'm saying?
Well, nothing's really very simple, but
Right.
if you think of instincts in a hierarchy, okay, procreate, which includes sex, but it's also entrepreneurship, right? So creation energy. Procreate, then protect. So that's why I have to be taught safe sex, right? Entrepreneurs, of course I'm going to gamble the mortgage, right? So procreate, then protect, then provide. So what happens in frog farming is we want men to be in give. But by criticizing them, they retract from provide into protect and into protect myself from you. And that's when their personality seems to change. And we'll be like, whoa, what a fill in the blank. Where did that come from? Because there'll be fiery reactions if they're in fight, flight, and freeze. We all have a sequence. So some men have a freeze response, right? We attack them and they just shut down. Or they have a flight response. We attack them and they disappear. We call it ghosting. Or they might have a fight response. The ones who have a fight is their first response. They're the ones that we think the least of. We're mad at them. I appreciate it. I'm fight, freeze, flight. My husband was freeze, flight, fight. So if he came back, he wouldn't fight with me. But when he came back to fight, oh my God, there's like steam coming out of his ears because it took a lot for him to get there. So if I'm going to say it this way. I've only ever heard men use the word safe about if someone is safe to talk to. If someone is safe to be themselves with. Otherwise, they just talk about security. That they're secure when they're producing these results. They have this much money in the bank. They got this going on. Then they're secure. But safe, they use like, wow, you're really safe to talk to. They apply that to being able to communicate, to expose themselves. Because to them, revealing is dangerous. We reveal in order to be like me, love me, save me. Right? We reveal, we just conceal what we think someone will find unattractive.
Yeah.
And we'll reveal a weakness, especially to another woman, in order to connect.
Yeah.
Like if she thinks I think I'm perfect, let me reveal a weakness, and now she'll like me more. Oh, this whole thing? Walmart, $11.97, right?
Yeah.
So we'll do something like that in order to connect. For men, all revelation is dangerous. So when they're boasting, they're not revealing. They're posturing, and they know it.
Yeah.
It's not revelation.
Yeah.
When they tell you about, like, really what they're proud of themselves for, their accomplishments and their character, that's revelation. To reveal their strengths is revelation. To reveal their weaknesses, public displays of affection, that's revealing a weakness to another person. I'm attached to this person. You can use that against me. So a man who doesn't want to do that, he doesn't feel so secure in that environment. So being safe to talk to, which means being curious, and you can sort it for, would I want a lifetime of that? And I encourage people to sort fast.
Yeah.
It's part of dating with distinctions is simple sorting.
Yeah.
But if your reaction is like, why do you do that? The end. But if you're just like, wow, this is who this person is. Okay, I'll think about if that's what I want in my life. What else about you?
Yeah.
Just like keep listening, keep being open. And they will show you who they are. And then you can make an informed decision. But if we're not safe to talk to, we're not safe to be around, we'll never know who that person really is, especially if they are a man. And so many men have been put down when they've tried to provide.
Yeah.
Like women have such a, I don't need you. I don't need anybody. I don't need any man. I mean, I was born in 1960. So I grew up with Barbie and Ken getting married at least once a week, but with a mother who her message was, you have to have a man. You have to have a man to be truly like worth it, like worthy as a woman. You've got to have, if you don't have a man, you're a lesser woman, but don't ever need him. You've got to have a man, but don't ever need him. Well, what's a man's reaction to that? You don't need me. I'm going to find someone who does.
Yeah. Because that's what they want to provide.
They have to provide.
Yeah.
And they have what's theirs to give. So as men become kings, they're clear about what they want to provide, what they're willing to provide, and no, I'm not going to do that.
So it's kind of like going back to men responding to women.
This is one of the most important ways.
Yeah. And so for someone listening who maybe for the last decade in their marriage they're realizing that they've been doing this, maybe emasculating men, taking on more of the role that they probably want their partner to do, but they just haven't been letting them. Yeah. Like can it turn around, and can that passion like reignite? Can it be solved?
It absolutely can. And this goes back to where we started. So single focus needs a transition. Diffuse awareness, it's all going on all the time. So my husband and I, we're in the airport in Milan. We've never been there before. We go through security. 9/11's just happened, so they confiscate my very expensive mascara, and I'm really upset about it. But I come out the other side of security. I'm putting on my shoes. I'm checking the departure signs to figure out what gate we have to be. I'm packing up my stuff. Okay, we're going to go there, and then it's going there. I grab my stuff, and I go. Mm-hmm. By the time Greg caught up to me, he was furious. He was furious. And he said to me, how can I protect you when you're in front of me?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, because Greg, single focused, Greg, all he was doing was putting his shoes on. All he was doing was packing his bag, getting ready to go. That's all he was doing.
Yeah.
One thing. And I started watching him do it. He would do each thing one at a time, and then he'd look up for the departure gate.
Yeah.
To me, that's too slow, right? I call this, you know how you need to wait for the well? You have to wait for the hero. You have to wait for them. They're not processing that. What they're processing will blow you away. When you find out what their single focus brains can hold, like my boyfriend Dan, single focused on learning me.
Yeah.
Learning me. He took that on from the very beginning. Learning me.
Yeah.
He was even like using tools. When she sounds, he's patting on the steering wheel. When she sounds like that, she's scared. When she sounds like that, she's scared. When she sounds like that, she's scared. This was day 2.
Yeah.
So as long as we expect them to respond as quickly as we do, we're always going to think we're better and smarter and more capable than them.
That's it right there. That's what it is. That's that key for someone who's struggling to let the man take on that role that he needs to do.
Yep.
That's what it is. Take a look on my bathroom counter on any given day and you're going to find Osea because it's my absolute favorite skin and body care line. And you guys have to try Osea's hyaluronic body serum. It is the ultimate treat for your skin. It's made with the purest marine botanicals and hyaluronic acid, and it quenches your skin's thirst, leaving it soft, smooth, and irresistibly radiant. What sets Osea apart isn't just their commitment to clean and sustainable ingredients, it's the results you see and feel.
It's best to layer the hyaluronic body serum under your favorite body moisturizer to maximize results. Your skin will feel so smooth and years younger. It's the body care product that changes everything.
And to top it all off, Osea is vegan, cruelty-free, climate neutral certified, and ocean positive. It's my favorite skincare ever. Click my link in the show notes and use the code Ellen_10 to explore their full range of clean, ocean-inspired skincare and discover the secret to radiant beauty. Embracing the beauty of the ocean one drop at a time. Like for me, I love at the airport that I don't have to think about anything. I can just stroll. I actually saw this Instagram reel that was like, you know, you're strolling through and just thinking about the birds. You just and meanwhile the man's got the task. He has everything in place, and I can just be my most fluid feminine self and not have to think about it. That is my favorite thing. I love to let my husband do that.
Yeah.
There are a lot of women though that, like you said, they might think, oh, I'll just do it better. I might as well just do it. And so then that can create that struggle.
It's so destructive. It just, honestly, if we don't understand the differences in how our brains are configured, the effects of hormones even over time, because in a 28 or 9 or 30-day cycle, her hormones are going to vary so. Sometimes she'll be very diffuse awareness. Sometimes she'll be highly protected. So criticism will fall off. She actually has her cells are protected in certain times of the month. So you can say something critical and it doesn't go right in. But during the time of the month, you're like, oh God, it's that time of the month. Zero protection at the biological level. I mean, it's cuckoo how much hormones create the thoughts and the feelings create the thoughts and the hormones. And if we don't know it and get a hold of it, like if a woman is perceives something as scary or threatening, the testosterone her body's managed to produce, especially after the eggs are gone, will get stolen. It's called the Brazilian steel. The testosterone will get stolen. It'll be turned into cortisol. So instead of having drive, focus, ambition, excitement, she'll be afraid, tired, hungry,
Yeah.
right? Just by how she thinks about what she's doing. So when we think we don't have enough time, we're going to go into that whole Pregillian steal. When I have plenty of time. I have plenty of time. I got plenty of sleep. Okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
Right? It's so different. And so the way that I think of it that might help is that it's upside down. So especially in our culture, we think the most important thing about me is personal about me. We think my history, my birth order, my sun sign, my ethnicity, I'm the type of person that my we thought, my injuries, my shame, what I'm smart at, like everything that's personal and unique to me, we think that's the biggest thing. If people only do one thing, I would say go do Understanding Women, because I'm always contrasting men and women. So you learn both sides.
Yeah.
It's 15 hours of videos.
Okay, cool.
If they do two things, I would tell them to do LUX, which stands for Liberation, Understanding, and Extraordinary Relationships. And it's only less than 8 hours, but it changes everything.
Okay, I want to do that one.
Yeah, do that. Start there. You will love it. But if you think about how many things we take personally and the why did he do that? We're looking for a personal answer to that. It's because I'm to this or not enough that. What if it's actually, what if there's a pyramid? At the bottom of the pyramid, and this is what I've been working on for the last 5 years, I call at the bottom of the pyramid is our planet. And our planet, everything on the planet lives in the same paradigm. And it's a paradigm of scarcity and competition. And are you me or not me?
Yeah.
That's on the planet. And so many things we do all day long are based in that. And then you come up from that to herd and pack instincts. And human beings are both herd and pack. Some of us behave more like horses, which is the stallion is circling the herd, looking for outside threats, except for when there's a mare in heat. Then procreate trumps protect, right? But the females in the herd are all about well-being, and the lead mare is all about the well-being of all of them, right? So that's a herd. But then there's pack, right? And there's the alpha. The alpha male, the alpha female, right? The beta. Status, there's status in both herd and pack. We are always paying attention to status. Am I more important than you? Less important than you? If I'm more important than you, there's things I'm entitled to from you.
Yeah.
If I'm less important than you, then there's things I can't receive from you because I'm not important enough for that. Oh, it's crazy stuff. But I could go on and on just about herd and pack, right?
Right.
And then you end up with human and male and female humans and these hormones, right? So there's some that has to do with that, male and female. So a male expression of status versus a female expression of status. Male expression of status is accomplishment, right? And being well thought of, how many people respect me. Female is, who am I married to? Am I married, and who am I married to? The higher he is, the higher I am. So that we got to make sure we marry up, right? Right? But then there's, okay, are we in a hunting, committed state of mind, or are we in a diffuse, gathering, open state of mind? Whether we're male or female, what is our state of mind? Because our state of mind is going to determine literally, am I filtering for what's the point? Or what's the problem? Or what do they need from me? Or what does this have to do with me? Those are instinctual ways to filter, because we all have to filter. There's even single focus is filtering, because there's so much coming into these incredibly aware brains that we have. So all of that is going on before you even get to, a classic Libra.
Yeah, totally.
I got dimples everywhere.
Totally. Wow, that was really interesting. So I have one more kind of important question that's been on my mind.
Please.
Yes. Does any of this, like the whole is men responding to women or are men responding to women thing,
Yeah.
does any of it let men off the hook a bit? Like are women also responding to men, and why isn't there a King's Code book?
Funny you would use those words. It's coming.
Oh, really?
It's coming, and I didn't know it was called the King's Code until about a month ago.
No way.
I've known
That's
there
so
was
funny.
a sequel to the Queen's Code since before it ever came out of me. I knew, and I knew there was this whole scope, and I've been getting previews. It's like movie trailers, movie previews. I've been getting them since about 2018.
Oh,
That
cool.
I've been being shown little snips. It's like these people live in an alternate universe.
Yeah.
And they like give me a little peek into this is happening. This
Yeah.
is happening. And so I've known things for a while. And then that's accelerated in the last year, and especially in the last month, I'm getting bombarded.
Well, I can't wait to read it one day.
I was standing by Christmas. It'll be out by Christmas because I was standing in my kitchen, and all of a sudden I hear these words in my head, like, "What? Is that the title?" And I'm muscle testing. Is that the title? Is it good that that's the title? We'll be happy that's the title. Whoa! I didn't know the sequel's called the King's Code.
Wow.
And you just asked, when's the King's Code?
It was like my immediate thought after I finished this book.
Yeah,
I'm like, can I please give my husband a King's Code book?
Well, the sequel is called The King's Code, and then they showed me these other things. They showed me a few, like last summer, they showed me that at that table, right, where all this is happening, there are now men sitting at the table, not just Bert coming in for his part, not just Mike showing up for delicious sexual partnerships, right? There are men sitting at the table. And I'm like, whoa, cool. And then what I saw a few weeks ago when I was told it was the King's Code, I'm like, wait, is this going to reverse? And it's like, the men have been the supporting actors so far, right? We have these 3 amazing women, right? And then the 4th that's who I was when I started. I was such a Melissa. And sorry for all the people named Melissa who are wonderful. But I was just like that. I attacked my first husband, actively attacked him, actively withheld what he needed because I was so hurt, right? And so, but I saw it's going to reverse. Like it's more like the kings are stepping into the leading actor roles. The women, while their stories are so important, it's more supporting. We're going to hear a lot more from the men. And then I was like, wait, the women take a vow, which, by the way, we have men who participate. There's a thing I do called Your Queen's Code Journey, where we listen to a chapter or 2 at a time, and then we get on Zoom and they ask me questions.
Oh, cool.
And even like actively take the vow on Zoom, get into breakout groups and take it. It's so cool. It's one of the most important things I do. I'll do one this summer. I'll do one in the fall.
Cool.
I'll do one in the new year with the King's Code. But I was like, is there a vow? And yep. And then my poor little brain, because I was in the middle of a Queen's Code journey, so I re-listened to the book with the students every week. And there's so much, I think they call it foreshadowing. In the Queen's Code, there's so much foreshadowing of what's going to happen in the King's Code. But I didn't know it.
Wow, that's cool.
I didn't know it when it happened. Like, that's
cool.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And and it starts with a big surprise, which is what was revealed to me in 2018. The big surprise, which had me go, wow, it's going to be a long time before I'm ready to have that come through. And yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes.
Wow. I was not expecting that answer. For some reason, I thought I was expecting an answer of, well, when I don't know. I was expecting that women are not responding to men, that it's like we are the ones that shape it.
Ah,
But that's not
no.
what made sense to me.
Right. That's actually why I created Understanding Women, because I realized here were all these women who'd laid down their swords,
Yeah.
and most of them were living with men, whether they were single mom with sons, right, or husbands or fathers or brothers. They were living with men who were bringing out the worst in them, and as the worst was bringing out in them, they had this vow to not emasculate men, but literally their instincts are being antagonized, and then they would do something emasculating and then be ashamed of themselves.
Yeah.
Like, I have to support
Yeah.
my graduates by
yes.
teaching the men how you're bringing out the worst in women.
Yes, because I sometimes, like, after the book, I was like implementing the things, and I'm so pumped and I'm so powered about it, and it's like really helping our relationship. I'm just like, I'm blown away. And then there might be a moment where, you know, he does something because he doesn't understand me.
Exactly.
And then I'm feeling, oh, I don't want to do those things, you know,
Right?
because I feel like
We
you don't
shut
understand
down.
me, and I
Yeah.
feel shut down, and I feel hurt, and I just want you to understand me, my heart, and I just want you to be happy. It's like one of my biggest goals in life is to make him happy, you know, and like, and I think he's thinking, yeah, great, what's the problem?
Right.
And so, amazing. Well, that's a wonderful way to end it. Everyone, please look forward to that. I'm looking forward to that. Thank you so much for being here. And I'm so excited for people to check out your resources because it's really life-changing.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you, everyone.